The Ghoul, real name Cooper Howard, is one of the most fearsome bounty hunters in the West. He was a film actor before the Great War of 2077. Howard was captured by Dom Pedro and buried alive, with a drip of radaway, a chemical solution used after exposure to radiation. The Ghoul is dug up by Honcho, Slim, and Biggie to collect the bounty, a researcher named Wilzig. When they give him information about this job, they tell him it's the last job. The Ghoul says he bounty hunts for the love of the game and then kills Slim and Biggie by shooting them. He lassos Honcho around the head and throws him into the grave to die there. The Ghoul starts his job. He finds the scientist in Philly and shoots off his foot. A gunfight ensues between him and the group trying to protect the scientist. The Ghoul kills 10 people. Before he can seize the bounty, he's confronted by Lucy McLean and attacked by CX-404. The Ghoul stabs the dog in the belly and is about to shoot Lucy when he's interrupted by Maximus in his T-60 power armor. However, the Ghoul has knowledge about the weak spots on the armor and uses this knowledge to gain an upper hand, cutting one of Maximus' pipes and causing the armor to fly him away and out of control. The fight allows Lucy and Wilzig to escape. The Ghoul saves the dog's life and follows them, finding the remains of the scientist's body. Lucy has taken his head after being told by the scientist to do so. He finds her at the flooded remains of Hollywood Boulevard. She's trying to recover the head from a gulper. The Ghoul ties her up and throws her into the water. When Lucy asks why she's being tortured, the Ghoul says he's just using her as bait for the creature. Ghoul realizes he has lost his drugs, which keep him from going feral. Lucy broke his vials. So he decides to sell Lucy for some drugs. He takes her to an organ harvesting and chem dealing ring near Santa Monica Boulevard. On his way, the Ghoul meets Roger. He has been living as a ghoul for 28 years and is starting to show signs of going feral after failing to get the drugs. Roger asks him if he has some drugs, and he states he does not. Roger then says he and his smooth-faced friend should leave before things get ugly. The Ghoul tells Roger about food and the pre-war days, and they talk about mac and cheese, ice cream, and apple pie. As Roger briefly comes out of his craze and begins to tell Lucy about his mother, the Ghoul shoots him through the head to put him out of his misery, which horrifies Lucy. He strips Roger's body for valuables and starts removing pieces of flesh from his body. Lucy attempts to get away, but he lassos her. Lucy bites off his finger, and he retaliates by cutting off one of hers. When Lucy escapes from the organ harvesters, where she has been taken by the Ghoul, who collapsed to the ground, she leaves the door open and gives him several vials of the medicine, demonstrating that she's still sticking by her golden rule. The Ghoul doses himself up and ransacks the deceased organ dealer's drug stash. When he wakes up again after being unconscious, he's arrested by a group of self-proclaimed sheriffs, arresting him for destroying what they consider a legitimate local business. He is brought over to the local office and finds it's run by Sorrel Booker, his former associate. He asks to be untied and sews his finger back on. The Ghoul then says he's guilty and even tells him about the people he killed in Philly. Booker tells the men to kill him, but he shoots the men and spares Booker's life. The Ghoul sees Lee Moldaver's wanted poster, realizing she was actually Miss Williams, the woman he had met before the war, and decides to find her and get answers. He interrogates a man for information, due to a letter he recovered from his son, one of the men he'd killed in Philly that linked him to Miss Williams. His other son tries to avenge the death of his older brother, but the Ghoul shoots and kills him. He meets with CX-404 again and goes to the Observatory. When the Brotherhood enters into the building, the Ghoul confirms that the T-60s share the same welding fault below the chest plate as the T-45s, which makes them vulnerable to small arms fire. So he turns out the lights and kills the attacking knights and most of the light infantry. He confronts Hank McLean, wounding him, but he lets McLean flee, saying it's easier to track a stuck pig than listen to it squeal. In the Fallout Season 1, the Ghoul has killed around 26 people. Lucy gets to know what really happened to her mother, Rose. Rose suspected the surface world was hospitable and fled Vault 33, angering her husband. She took Lucy and her young brother Norman to live in Shady Sands. They were too young to remember much, but Lucy would have memories of her mother taking her to play in a field in Shady Sands under the sun, feeling its warmth. When her dad found Rose on the surface, and she refused to come back with him. Hank took the children back to Vault 33 and dropped a nuke on the town. Hank lied to Lucy, telling her that her mother died from a vault famine in 2277.